So what is thin privilege and does it even exist? Hey folks, my name's Allie. Let's get started. So just a disclaimer, I know that this can be a very controversial subject, and I'm going to do my best to talk about it because I think it's fine to talk about respectfully and expressing my own opinions. And really the reason I wanted to do this video was just kind of hear about your opinions as well. So if you have thoughts about the subject, I'd really love to hear those down below in the comments. Well, first of all, why do I want to talk about it? I have always, since childhood, loved being like an armchair psychologist, sociologist, anthropologist. Like, I just love learning about people and interactions and how people better themselves and what people think. Even when I was in, middle school, I was reading self-help books and interacting with people books more than I ever was reading fiction. I just found it much more interesting. And I think that stemmed from my being obese as a kid and young adult and teen and all that, just because I wanted to learn how to interact better with people. So I found the relationships that were forming and how to form them in better ways. So I've just always found human interaction really interesting, just in my own opinions. So if I summarize thin privilege off the top of my head in one statement, it would be that thin people have less problems and that they do not have to deal with the consequences of being overweight. So some examples that we'll look at deal from just the emotional feelings that they have versus the real world situations that they encounter. And just a heads up, in case you've never seen any of my videos, I've been in both camps. I have been very obese at 320, and now I'm sitting down at a healthy weight. So some examples of thin privilege that really I'm just going to talk about the fat consequence side of this is when you're overweight, you feel this insecurity about eating in front of other people because you feel like they are, side-eyeing you. You feel that they are judging your food choices. And I do think that a lot of thin people don't have that situation going on. They don't really get that judgment from others and they don't feel that judgment. But for an overweight person, it can definitely exist. If your whole family is thin and they're all going out for ice cream and you get ice cream too, you kind of feel like, should I be eating this ice cream? Or people thinking like, does she really need that ice cream? It's that mental feeling that you're being judged, or people might just come up to your face and say it. So definitely something that overweight people have to deal with and think about more. Another example is not being able to find clothing at just regular stores. So if you just went to the mall and went into Express or the Loft or something and you are overweight, you might not be able to find clothes for your body. And just kind of picking off of that point, also finding more stylish clothes. I've been reading a lot how, overweight people, all that they can find are very dark clothes, very baggy clothes, but nothing that's very stylish and that appeals to their sense of fashion. So that can also be a problem. Another example is flying, right? Going onto the plane and not being able to fit into the airplane seat. I never got to the point where I needed to buy 2 seats and pay that extra money, but I was very uncomfortable flying when I was very overweight. I feel bad for the person next to me, I didn't want to take up that much space, but I did, and it definitely causes anxiety, and I hated flying because of that. Unsolicited health advice is another example of consequences that people have to deal with when they're overweight. I mean, just people commenting on the food that you're eating, that judgment, that side eye, or people coming up to you and telling you about their diet and how they lost weight when you didn't ask about it, or people, talking about how being overweight is unhealthy. Like, yes, I know, thank you for bringing it up in public. Now I'm embarrassed, things like that. So people just making unsolicited advice or comments about health and your weight. Another one that I don't think I really experienced, but people online have talked about a lot, is not being heard by your doctor. Of course, obesity can cause lots of health issues, and doctors are going to look for probably the most, I'm trying to word it right, probably the most likely cause of something that's ailing you. But then, I've read stories about how overweight people go and their doctor just says that they need to lose weight when really they've had an underlying disease or issue that didn't really relate to their weight. So that could also be an issue as well. And then finally, the reason that caused me to lose all the weight that I lost, my biggest reason for going keto and losing so much weight is that in general, it's viewed that overweight people might be passed for jobs or job promotions. And so for me, like, that was a scary thing. I had lots of debt from school, and so I was like, I need to find a job. And so that was one of my main motivators for losing weight. I knew that that was an issue in society, and I didn't want it to hold me back from reaching my goals. So does thin privilege exist? I think that it does. And like I said, I've been on both sides of the coin now. I've seen, how I was treated more as a fat person versus how I'm treated as a thin person. But also I'm seeing how my own thoughts have changed from being overweight to now being at a healthy weight. So my biggest fat consequences that I dealt with that I'm sure thinner people didn't have to deal with. One of them was going to a little restaurant. I sort of lived in Montreal for a while, and they had all these little cafes, and all these little cafes had these little wiry chairs. And I just thought, being around 320 pounds, that I was just gonna break a chair every time I sat down. It's just a fear that I had to live with, and now that I'm down in my weight, I don't even think about it. And so even if I broke a chair now at where I am, I wouldn't be embarrassed about it. I'd yell at the restaurant, be like, why is your chair so old? It wouldn't be such a big deal to me. I personally did feel that fear of eating out and being judged by other people. I feared the quantities that I was getting being judged and the actual food itself. And so that's definitely something I think thinner people don't have to deal with. I mean, now at a healthy weight, I feel like I can go out and eat whatever I want and not think about other people at all. Actually, if anything, I probably imagine that people see me eating a big steak and being at a smaller weight and probably them wondering how I'm doing that keto, by the way. It really works. Definitely the unsolicited health advice or comments about my weight. I got the "Are you pregnant?" question a couple times. I got, people saying that they could help me for a fee, and it's just, I didn't want it and it didn't help, and it's just embarrassing, especially when it happens in public around other people. And it brings attention to that you are an other, right? You're not part of the norm. You are something else, and therefore you don't belong. And it really singles you out and makes you feel unwanted. Clothes. Yes, at my highest weight, clothes were an issue. I would buy wrap dresses, and that was pretty much it, and leggings. I was living up north, so I wore these stretchy materials that didn't really flatter my body. When I was in middle school, I was shopping at Lane Bryant, and I had to buy clothes that women were wearing, so they weren't, cute kid clothes. I looked really out of place, not only because I was tall and obese, but because I was wearing adult clothes in middle school. Now I can pretty much go anywhere. My favorite thing to do pretty much now is to go shopping. I love to walk around the mall on a Friday afternoon, Saturday night. And so that fear of not being able to find anything has definitely just been blown away, and I definitely enjoy shopping now. And of course, the whole plane situation. Yes, I did fly a couple times when I was very heavy. I felt bad about it. It was very uncomfortable. But now, actually, a couple years ago, I was on a plane. After I had lost the majority of my weight, I was probably around 170. And the girl, I was sitting down first, and a girl came up. She was younger. She might have been a teenager. And she was very slender. She sits down, and she looks over, and she goes, "I'm glad we're both skinny." So I kind of took that as a compliment at the time. But the reason I'm doing this video now is because it kind of popped into my head, that experience. And I was just thinking, man, what if, I had not lost that weight? Would she be being angry and grumpy with me? But I don't know. So that was just an experience of somebody really voicing their opinion about the weight of the person next to them on a plane. It really shocked me at the time. And what I think I experience now is a lot of thin privilege. And I know it's kind of weird to talk about it. I don't know, for me it's weird to talk about. But yes, I do feel like people are nicer in general. I always try and be polite. Even when I was overweight, I tried to smile a lot and say thank you and please and all that. But I just feel like people respond better to me now. And I think that boosts the confidence too, right? So when people are nice to me, it boosts my confidence, and therefore I'm more confident, which kind of creates a cycle of interacting better with people around myself. So I think that it's not only that they're nice to me, but that I'm more confident too. Now, because so many people have realized that there is this thin privilege, that fat people just have to deal with a lot more issues day to day, just because other people think that they aren't worthy of being respected. There has been this backlash against this thin privilege, and I think it comes out most whenever you hear about HAES or Healthy at Every Size, or fat activists. And then because those groups have come out, of course, there has been backlash against those groups. So then you have those people that say that HAES or fat activists are promoting obesity too. So we've kind of got this struggle going on between these two sides. And to be honest, I totally see where both groups are coming from. You know, I'm trying to look at this very clearly. I see the HAES people as just wanting to enjoy themselves, basically. I see them wanting to express themselves through fashion. So they're trying to get more, you know, companies to have fashion for larger sizes. And I get that. You want to feel nice, even though you're overweight. Okay, you still want to feel your best. I get that. You know, I tried to dress as nice as I could when I was overweight. I always did my hair, always did my makeup. You know, I wanted to put my best version of myself out there that I could. From what I've heard, that there are issues about, you know, going to the doctor and them not taking you seriously, and that can be a big issue. So I do think that with big issues like that, medical issues, that they can do some good there as well. So I understand that the HAES folks just kind of want to live their lives without that judgment from other people. I get that, and I think that that's a fair request. And I agree. I think that people should be respected, you know, give people dignity. We're all human, you know. Don't be mean to people. And I also see the other side's point of view. You know, obesity is a health crisis. We have a very large population of people who are sick because of obesity. And just off the top of my head, I know that it causes higher rates of cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. I mean, and those are serious illnesses that cause early death. They affect families, you know, and they're awful diseases, right? They hurt people. And I know from my own experience, when I was overweight, I felt physically sick. I felt ill. I was getting really bad heartburn all the time. I couldn't eat, you know, I was eating too much, and I was eating at weird times of the day, and I felt bad because of that. I couldn't walk for long periods of time. I was afraid of stairs, you know, going up a flight or two, when I should not be afraid of stairs. It's just, you know, a normal person should not be afraid of going upstairs, but I was breathing heavy, you know, even after I had sat down for a while. And all of these things, you know, I knew that something was wrong, and it affected me mentally too, because I knew that I was allowing my addiction to food to take priority over my own health and happiness. So I get why people want to say that, you know, the HAES community who are combating thin privilege are also promoting obesity. It's a tough discussion to have without offending anybody. I definitely want people to feel good about themselves no matter what they look like. But on the other hand, I do think that obesity is a health crisis, especially for us in America, because it's such a problem with so many people. So what are your opinions on this issue? I really do want to hear from you folks, because I do wonder about you guys. You know, I talk a lot about keto and weight loss, and I just want to know if I'm offending people. I want to know what your opinions are about the whole situation, you know. Should we just let people live their lives and express themselves and also try to accommodate their being overweight, or should we say, hey, you know, it's not good to be obese, and let's pull it in and rein it back a little bit? I want to hear from you guys, because this is something that I just find fascinating. I really do. Like I said, I've been on both sides of the argument here, so let me know what you think down below. Alright you guys, that's about it for today. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I am on spring break. I'm so excited. I get to rest. We're going to go on a little mini vacation, and it's going to be so nice. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That would help me out so much. And if you want to find me on social media, I will link all of that down below. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Allie. Have a good one. Bye!